killed someone. I strangled them and slit their throat and stabbed them. It was amazing. Okay, I gotta go to church now. LOL. Impulsively stalked her young neighbor into the woods after she left. When they had reached the area near the graves, she grabbed Elizabeth.
And so you mean to tell me the police officer covered up, hid, didn't say nothing about this, you know what I'm saying, girl murder. And next thing you know, they found out what you did or how you got involved or whatever. I'm just curious on how you didn't say nothing about what was going on about this girl disappearance. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy to me that nothing was said. No, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's being further investigated as we only know so much. And I showed you guys the article, so well, I'm going to show you guys the article, but there's not really much detail about this situation besides, you know, the officer got fired for not saying anything.
To know the truth, because at the end of the autopsy they will know exactly how she died.
9-year-old Elizabeth Olten was practicing her lines for an upcoming St. Martin's School play with her brother in Missouri when she heard a knock on the door. It was her 6-year-old neighbor, Emma Bustamante, who lived just through the woods, inviting her to come play. Elizabeth's mom, Patty, allowed it, knowing Elizabeth would be home early as she was scared to walk home in the dark. Unbeknownst to her and her mother was that Emma's older sister, 15-year-old Alyssa, was watching and waiting for Elizabeth to begin her trek back home. Alyssa Bustamante was the typical early 2000s scene girl, wearing heavy makeup and owning an all-black wardrobe. Her grandmother Karen Brooke legally adopted her and Emma, as well as their 2 younger brothers, when she was 7 years old. Their mother could no longer care for them while she struggled with drug abuse, and additionally, their father is currently serving 3 concurrent felony sentences for assault. Her grandparents did everything they could to ensure the children had a stable home. However, in 2007, Alyssa attempted suicide and spent 10 days in a psychiatric hospital. Upon release, she was prescribed Prozac, but still had an affinity for self-harm and frequently showed her friends scars on her wrists like those in this photo.
She talked about suicide a lot. I know that she had attempted it a couple of times.
Her online profiles also shifted towards darker content, making shocking Twitter posts, as well as posting a violent video on YouTube showing her convincing her brother to touch an electrified fence, which she labeled as the good part. Her profiles on YouTube and MySpace listed her favorite hobbies as killing people and cutting. Then, one Friday afternoon, she began to devise a plan for her first kill. After school ended, she went into the woods in between her and Elizabeth Olten's house and dug 2 holes in the ground that would be used as future graves. Many have speculated, because of her home videos depicting her enjoyment at inflicting pain on her 2 younger brothers, that the reason she dug 2 graves was because she initially plotted to murder the 2 of them.
She told me after she took the video, you know, and she was saying that it was basically out of fun or whatever. She wanted to see her brothers get hurt.
However, when Elizabeth was playing with Emma, Alyssa saw her opportunity to test what killing felt like and impulsively stalked her young neighbor into the woods after she left. When they had reached the area near the graves, she grabbed Elizabeth, strangled her, and then stabbed her multiple times with a kitchen knife. As she was dying, Alyssa slit her throat and wrists before burying her body in one of the shallow graves. When Elizabeth didn't return home, her mother Patty called police police just after dark, reporting her missing. A huge search party of dogs, firefighters, police, helicopters, and the FBI formed to locate her, and they pinged her cell phone to the woods behind her house.
By 10 p.m., word of the missing 9-year-old spread through this small town, and hundreds of residents came out in support of the Oten family to search for little Elizabeth. Law enforcement decided to ping Elizabeth's cell phone. Volunteers then made a strange discovery.
After an anonymous tip was sent to authorities, they seized Alyssa and took her into custody for interrogation, shocking the small Missouri town. Alyssa's grandmother sat in on the questioning as she believed her granddaughter was completely innocent. At first, Alyssa attempted to feign ignorance. Things changed, and the tension was palpable when the detective mentioned that they had recovered her diary.
Even if you write something down and try real hard to scratch it out, that doesn't make it go away. You can see what was written. Every word, every stroke is still there, including the last entry. I need to know what the truth is.
The interrogator's revelation that they were able to read Alyssa's scratched-out journal entry leads to a full minute of suspenseful silence as she realized she had been caught. The entry in question read, "I just killed someone. I strangled them and slit their throat and stabbed them. It was amazing. Okay, I gotta go to church now. LOL." Alyssa and her grandmother both began to cry as Alyssa begins to open up.
We were messing around and she fell back and hit her head.
Was her throat cut?
Yeah. Oh.
Grandma?
Oh my God.
Finally, Alyssa confessed. After the admission, the police took Alyssa out to the crime scene.
I'm going to ask her to show us where you buried her.
Unfortunately, this interview and confession was ruled inadmissible in court because Alyssa's advocate stepped into the questioning in what the judge ruled as deceptive tactics. Despite this, in 2012, she was convicted of second-degree murder and armed criminal action, sentenced to life in prison. Elizabeth's mother also sued her, as well as the mental facility she spent the 10 days at for wrongful death. She settled the lawsuit, and Alyssa was given an additional 30 years on top of her life sentence, as well as being required to pay her victim's mom $5 million. It doesn't seem that the sum of money is enough to replace her daughter.
She shouldn't be sitting in prison. She should die too.
This is sad. I hope none of us ever have to deal with something like this where our kids' friend trick them and backstab them, kill them, bury them. You know, and this girl, she definitely had like some kind of, I don't know, dark soul or something, because how do you get a kick out of somebody else getting hurt, pain, stuff like that? Like, and definitely as you get up the age and how old she was, you know, and then she gonna say something, oh, I killed somebody today, I slit their throat, I gotta go to church, LOL. That part right there kills me, because it's people who do stuff like that and try to pray to the, you know, God, the One Most High, to forgive them for what they did. And it's like, how can you be forgiven? You got so many people